also want to somehow link it to your interest of sport and whatever, so you also mentioned that, okay, outside those things, I also like sport. I like, yes, back up hanging out with people, and you like football, but now you like basketball better as well. Why? You have to find a reason for that. And one of the reason I feel like is I am a fan of both the sport as well. In basketball, it's very fast moving action. The score can change, a lot of things can change. They have, substitution coming, everything. So data is a very important part of basketball. You cannot play an effective game without understanding the game. For soccer or football, it might be something more natural. Somebody can be illiterate, know nothing about whatever, but they can still play a good game. But in basketball, more and more players have to be educated, whatever. So you can also link that thing to your liking in, statistic, data science, and mathematics, and gotta create a continuing stories when introducing those songs. Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
so yeah, I think you have all the material rights, but you have to connect it somehow, and the way it should be your name, your date of birth, how old you are, just very casual, shortly, and then go on with your mathematics and detective stories and sport, and a little bit more about how you're moving from football to soccer. And I think that would be interesting enough for you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now tell me a bit more about your major. And I know that data science, but why you choose that majors? What do you want to do in the future?
Uh, for the future, I would like to use data science in a lot of like uh, sports industry. As you all
Mhm.
know, like there, each and every team in like sports, they will have like a team of analytical uh, people, right? They will use data to analyze, what like players and play styles, how like they perform in different strategies, and they can come up with like the most effective and like you can score the most points in like using whatever. And they also collect data from other different teams, like how good they play. For example, right, I have seen a video of a team called Rockets, like a basketball team, right? They have done like scored the most points because their data analytical team has found out that uh, doing 3 point shots like outside the 3 point line gave them the most scores instead of doing layups and dunks and stuff. So they only applied that for the next season, and they were the highest score team in like the history of NBA. So I want to achieve that and also take it to the next level by, you know, applying AI science. Not only that, but also developing a training, like an AI training model to for like athletics. Uh, no, athletes for athletes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, personally like tailor them to their own like uh, what is it? Their own needs, and
Mhm.
so it takes like a lot less burden onto coaches, and they can also you know do do works with the data analytic team to come up with the best strategies to you know win their championship or something. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, it's good enough that you are speaking to me like you are more of a business person than you are an engineer, So, as I would say that in this answers, you need to bring up more technical terms like how the algorithms is working in data analytics for sport teams, or the database for sport can be bigger. So, do you need a data structure that is more responsive, or I mean, there had to be something, or because sport is something that is quite foundational. You're gonna need a layer one architecture, for all of your data, whatever. I mean, you have to look a bit further and talks a bit in the jargons and the language of a person who will be a future engineers. I agree with everything you're saying. I think that you have a good motivation and that you are quick thinking as well, but you don't sound like an engineer. That is my biggest concern. Is there anything? So look a bit more into data science, data warehousing, data structures, layer one, layer two, whatever, and figure out some technical terms or some knowledge that you might want to bring into the discussion. Or you might say something like sport, it require lots on the eye tracking devices, or data visualization, whatever. And then, right now we don't see that happening a lot. So we want to bring that flavor to data science. I don't know, but there has to be a specific technical terms or um, techniques that you want to bring to the field. Otherwise, just feel like, okay, this is the person who is enthusiastic, energetic. I'm not sure who's going to be an engineer. So, as my understanding is the program and data science at Wien University is in the College of Engineering and Computer Science. And that is why the people who have the ultimate decision to admit and give you scholarship are going to be the engineers, and you have to speak the language in order to get the favors. Okay. So,
Okay.
yeah. So work a bit more on this one.
Yep.
I think we're gonna have some more time to rehearse this question in another meeting later on. But
Yeah.
I think we're not about it. Okay. So the next question is, how did you figure out about the university and why did you choose to apply?
Uh, I've been following Vin Group for a long time now. Ever since I was like third grade, I've been studying in Vin school, and my mom is also an employee, for the Vin Group industry. So, and when she heard when she was student admission at the Vin University, she told me a lot about like the Vin Uni's curriculum, like how and their campus. So she personally took me a trip around Vin Uni for me to explore, and I think that Vin Uni is a perfect place for me to to expand on my own and grow my interests.
Hmm.
I don't know how to say. It's perfectly modern, but it's very spacious, and it's also not as not in a crowded area. Not in like the city center. It's all on the outskirts, and that's what I like about it. Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have most of the things right, except two things. The first one is if you want to be successful at a good scholarship at Minden University, you have to talk about the liberal arts as well.
The what?
So, liberal arts, yes, back up, learning many things across science and arts. Liberal arts is always the core of the university. So, talk a bit more about this is a university that you are not trained as just an engineer, but there's got to be a hackathons and requirement for you to take classes in the other sciences and art, uh, sociology, history, psychology, work alongside the doctors and the businessmen to create something that is meaningful for the society. So that's just one thing. It's holistic, it liberal arts integrated, and it is a university that kind of teach you life skills, not just technical skill. There's that one thing. The other thing is a being group cooperation. You have to somehow highlight that you think this cooperation is doing good thing for Vietnam, and the university is kind of the windows for students like you to learn more about the betterments of the Vietnamese society, whatever. So there's two things you don't want to get rid of. The first one about liberal art and holistic education is mostly gonna give you a bonus point with the American faculties, and then it will always be the Vietnamese version who will be reading the profile interview scripts, and they want to see the Bean Group influence on you as well. So whatever you told me is good enough for the general reason, but don't forget to include the uh, liberal arts, holistic education, and then being group motivation.
Okay.
Okay, but
Yeah.
this is an important question. You have to try it again. So that gives you a minute to reflect, and then whenever you're ready, we try it again.
Was it liberal arts, right?
Yeah, liberal arts. If you forget the keyword, just say that the holistic education, comprehensive or overall education, as long as you explain the ideas of having you learning all the subjects, that should be fine. You don't have to memorize the keywords.
Okay. Uh, so the reason why I applied to Vin Uni is that yeah, other universities also train, help you grow and your like technical skills and stuff, while VinUni also provide that type of education. They also focus on liberal arts, focusing on growing me myself as a person, and giving me time to learn other stuff, such as life skills and connecting with other scientists. Um Also, I have been following Vin Group for a long time, ever since I was third grade, and I think that Vin Group has done a lot to contribute to Vietnam's growth internationally, and I think that Vin University is an excellent university, like international university in Vietnam. I will be able to study with the international curriculum without ever having to leave my own home country. Yeah.
Okay, it sounds good enough, concise and effective, so I like it better. So now you just answer why that you like Vinuni. The other question Elbush will always be asking you is why do Vinuni has to like you? I mean, so what is a good qualities? How do we figure out if you are a good student for Vin University?
What?
Yeah. So in short, like why we have to pick you over all the other candidates applying to Vin University. What is some of your personal qualities that you feel like is important for us to know?
Damn.
And this one, don't forget about the AACC, but choose one of them and make a big deal of it. So is it your academic ability? Is it your aspiration? Is it your creativity? Is it the commitment? Try one of them.
I think Vin University takes the crown over all other university is that I will be able to study international curriculums, while still being in Vietnam, as I said earlier. Uh, it is an opportunity for me to have an experience of studying abroad without having to actually going abroad, because I can be close to my family while receiving excellent education. Uh, uh, Also, one of the core aspects of Vin Uni is
Mm,
creativity. What was it?
Time
Time
out, time out.
out.
So, so okay, not about how you like Vinyuni, but why Vinyuni should like you.
Why Vin Uni should like me?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we have gone past the phase of why I like Vinyuni, but now is the other question: why Vinyuni has to pick you as a student?
Oh, damn. Uh, Man, this is hard. I can't think of the.
Yeah, that's why I gave you the hints of AACC. So either you say that I
Oh,
am
oh. So I pick one of that,
academically
and then I
excellent.
talk. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
pick one of that and tell me, convince me why you're the best version in that category. Think a bit more. This one usually take a few minutes, so brainstorm and think, and whenever you're ready.
Okay. I think I have a general answer. Uh, the reason why I think I should be a Vin Uni student, a student,
Mm.
student, is that I have a lot of ability on my hand. That's what I've been. I've come across a lot of like different. I have experience in a lot of different fields. I've been have I've had joined coding competition. I've also had experience in playing sports a lot of my life. I've also had some marketing
Okay.
experience, in the past, such as like selling my own, building my own brand and selling beverages and hometown foods and snacks. Uh, Also, I've done marketing for and taught a lot of students, kindergarten students. Yeah, I can. That's all. That's all I got for now.
So yeah, this is a tough question. You have to make a big deals out of the small thing that you do. Does that mean like basically I think you should take the aspiration one and you can tell them that I'm the best student within uni because I always aspire to do big things from the small achievement in my life. I had the Perry Angbak, which is the business project that it just came out of a very small hobbies of mine, but I feel like it is something I can continue growing on to make a big effect. Even when I look at sport and data science, I feel like one day I can come back and make eating a type more healthier behavior, a sport itself, blah blah blah, whatever. And then when I'm teaching the kids, I found out that there's is always the team aspect of people learning thing. Just like in sport, you cannot teach one kids individually, but you have to group them and you have to motivate them, blah blah blah. But I mean, you have to make big deals of the small thing that you're doing in order to impress the viewers, especially for the university. So think a bit more about this one.
Okay.
Look at your resume, find something, and then try to convince them that I'm all about aspiration. I'm gonna find aspiration in small thing in life. I'm gonna turn it to something life changing.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this one we probably have to go back in the futures for another try, but I'll leave you with your old Tom to think more about this one. But I'll move on to another classic question. So tell me about one strength of you, one good thing about you that you're most proud of.
One what? Like
One strength of you. What
strength.
is your
Okay.
unique strength, or something that you are proud of, or maybe an achievement. It doesn't have to be a personal strength; it might be an achievement, but something that you feel like you're most proud of.
Something I'm most proud of. Something I'm most proud of. It might not be, as like what is this prestigious as like you think, but because there's been I have a lot of friends who have had a lot of higher scores than me, but personally it's probably the time where I studied for the SAT test.
Okay,
Yeah, I had like 4 months, 4 months of preparation, from my first take, which was like 1410. That's my first score, and I've taken classes and even taken time off of actual study to like go all in on like this SAT test. And I spent like 6 7 hours per day, just grinding out on all these SAT exercises, and in the end, I got like 1500, which is it's a high score, but it wasn't as high as all of my friends who's like 1580 or something. But for my effort that I've taken and for everything that I've put into it, I think it's a decent score and I'm proud of it.
okay, you have to explain it in a more emotional way, So I feel that the first part that you have been speaking about it too lengthy without values, and then the next part is Undie exploded. What you want to say is, so let's say your strength or the proudest achievement is your SAT score, and granted it's not the best score, but you have put 6 hours a day into learning the task, and then you think that you have made something that is progressively improving. And what is important is it's not just about the task itself, but the ability of you to manage the stress and the time management associated with the task itself, and to understand why university and school require the task. It's not just about the subject matter, but the ability of a person who's growing up to balance a life and manage the priorities in life, and you appreciate the SAT not for the 1,500 score, but for teaching you a lesson that you can be a more efficient leader who manage your life, blah blah blah. I mean, you have to go to that direction to make the answer something more level-headed, more mature, and more efficient. Otherwise, just I'm proud of my SAT test. I make it score, and everything is good. I put a lot of effort in it, and it kind of diluted for the amount of thing that you've been doing. Okay,
Okay.
all right. So this is kind of an important question as well. But you can do the rehearse in your own time. I think you have enough content to work on it. But the more important question is usually if they ask you about your weakness. So tell me about one of your weakness, and how do you plan to fix that weakness?
It's pretty
So which one?
common, I think, but my
Mhm.
biggest problem is probably procrastination. I've
Okay.
yeah, I've always like crammed a lot of my work and assignments until like the very end, and just had to accumulate like unnecessary stress and all that, and I had to not be able to produce like the best work that I am able to make. So I've had these problems for a while now, ever since I was a high schooler when I turned 10th grade, and I think that I need a more of a disciplined lifestyle. It's my life is like all over the place right now, but I think that using the easiest method I can take right now is probably make a fixed timetable for my whole week, and from that I can build the foundation from of you know being disciplined to do all my tasks, and train my brain and my mind into like okay, I have to do this, I have to do that right now. If not, I will waste time, and I will not have anything done by the end of the day.
Okay. But every weakness should have a good side about it. So I think that okay, if you are faced with a question about your weakness, then the way you describe your weakness, I think is fine. But then you always have to include a good side about your weakness. So I think a good side of procrastination is sometimes when you're approaching the deadline, you become very creative and efficient, more than the level that you usually are. So that's a good thing about that one. And in the future, if you want to reduce the amount of procrastination, but still keep the windows of being over creative and efficient. And the solution that you are presenting is something that I think is generic. So you should say something that is more unique to your experience. It might be that let me look at your CV if there's anything. Mm, okay, I mean you can say that you was the president of Gold Diggers, which is it is about developing activities plans and managing members, inspiration, whatever. So you might have learned something from this organization about creating detailed activity plans. So everything in your life, from the SAT preparations or doing a good course or undertaking a project, you kind of think of it like creating a detailed activity plan, just like what you're doing for Gold Diggers. I mean, you have to rely on something that is on your actual resume and say that you learned something from that one and you apply that one back in your life to make it more of a action plan and less of a procrastination. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, does it make sense? I feel like you have the right activities here, you have the right weakness, and all you have to do is kind of connect it and let them know that this is something that you're doing. You have evidence of doing it. It's not just a story you created out of the air to showcase fun that you want to go to university. Okay,
Okay.
practice a bit more about this one, but I think that you will be doing good in the futures. Okay. Another question is, Vind University interested in research, and I can see that you have in your resume a research about kombucha and how it is. apply on skincare, whatever. So tell me a bit more about your research, what it is about and what is your involvement.
Uh, that research, we tested out how kombucha tea fermented by with Thai Nguyen green tea from Vietnam would do well on like facial care products such as cleanser, toner, moisturizer, and serum. Hold on, my mom's calling. And we tested different kombucha formulations, and because in the kombucha tea, there is a lot of uh, probiotics, antioxidants, and organic acids that are good for our skin barrier, like
Mhm.
AHA, PHA, BHA, all that accumulated in one kombucha tea, which is why we wanted to, infuse it into facial cosmetics. We all I also have personally applied data science into this project, you know, surveying different people. Like we had like a prototype and we had asked around around people at my school to give opinions about like, is it irritating? Does it smell good? Does it foam very good and stuff? And we found out like it was not irritating for users at all. So I think, and we also scored the grand grand prize
Wow.
at the trip to Korea recently, and oh yeah, I don't know
Okay.
how to elaborate on this more.
No, it's good enough. Yeah. I just want to ask you, so how did you come up with the ideas and why facial care? Because I see that you are part of Anvat. Anvat is usually the enemies of skincare, and then you are interested in engineering and thing, which is again engineers not known for having good facial care. So tell me a bit more how you came up with why skincare, facial care, but why not something else? How did the idea happen?
So I think okay, I think that engineers are also like they're also shrouded in like their work and forgetting about taking care of themselves, especially their face, and their face is what like portrays them, like what shows themselves for the world, It's it's yeah, it's what shows themselves to the world. So that's why I wanted to find a efficient and also effective skincare products, and I've noticed that there isn't a single kombucha infused skincare products in Vietnam yet. And
Mm.
while with that in the question, we also have Thai Nguyen green tea, which is very abundant, because uh, so that's why I wanted to use Thai Nguyen green tea to formulate the kombucha and infuse it in cleanser, toner, and stuff for people.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, excellent. If you say enough, then you don't have to, keep going on and fighting. I found that an excellent answers because your research interest is interesting, but because interesting sometimes the interviewer gonna feel like, are you really doing this, or you just buying your way into the research papers? And that's why I have to ask you the detailed question. I'm confident that you're doing well and that you actually has a role in the project, so that's a good answer. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you the next set of questions with is the behavior question. So those question is usually starting about tell me about a time, and then they really want to see if you have been doing something meaningful and if you learned something from a past experience. So tell me about a time when you were a leader and people did not listen to you. What happened and how did you get over it?
Uh, I was like leading a part of the presentation in the kombucha tea thing, and I wanted to change a part of the script. I wanted to, I wanted him to talk in a different way so that it isn't repetitive throughout the whole presentation. But everyone was just so crowded in like doing their own tasks without like listening to what I'm saying, and we got into a heated argument. Mm, I personally think that I'm a very short tempered person and very emotional. So I had to like take some time off, like of my alone time, not talking to them, and reflecting on like what I can do, what how I can say it so that they can take that information in and make their presentation better. And I think that I was very like putting I was too angry, so I didn't I didn't put my thoughts into words that well. So I had self reflected and uh, said things better the next meeting that we had arranged. I think.
Okay, I like the situation. I like what you're saying, but the solution, I feel like it's abrupt and unexplained. So you might want to work a bit more on how you solve the problem. So it has to be something more systematic. Like as a leader, I have the style of being a charismatic leader. So I strike a conversation with my friend while I'm listening to them. I try to pick up, like on the excuse me, on the details that they are telling me. I want to see if it is a personal problem or a professional problem, blah blah blah. I mean, you have to explain the solution in a way that make it more systematic. Because right now, the way you explain it, it feels like oh, so it happened, and everything is good now. So think a bit more. You're gonna face a type question, and in different way, they're gonna ask tell me about a time when something did not happen to according to your plans. How did you overcome the surprise, or tell me about a time when your friends were arguing with each other. How did you mediate the conflict? Blah 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 and blah blah blah. But this is about the type of question that they ask you to reflect on the experience and tell them about how you achieve a solution. And the solution is more important than the situation. So that is why I think you did a good job on explaining the situation, but for the solution, you have to invest more to explaining it.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So this question you have to spend a bit of time working on it on your own as well before I do another mock-up interview for you. But the other type question is very famous within university is the problem-solving question, or we call it trick question. So computer science they're gonna ask a lot of trick question. Data science I think less of the trick question. Usually they're gonna give you a problem and ask how you're gonna solve it. Like how many gas station or how many electric charging station that you know do you think there are in Vietnam, for example, a question that they feel like you don't have an answers for, and then you don't have to have the right answer. So the wrong thing you can do is try to Google up for the answer and give up the answer. No, they don't look for the answer. They look for your way of thinking, as it is the science version. Or it might be something like, how many ice cream truck do you think in Long Beach districts, or how do you feel like how many days did you have to drive from here to the United States? If given that if you can drive over the ocean or whatever, how many days you will be taking for driving from Hanoi to the US on your VinFast car or whatever, so they just want to tickle your mind and find a solution. And the worst answer is going to be, I think there's going to be 8,000 ice cream trucks in Long Beach district because I feel so, or because I Google up and that is what showed up. But you have to show them the way of thinking. Like in where I'm living, there's a three ice cream trucks, but in where I'm living, there's a lot of kids. My mother is running a kindergarten now, or whatever, so there's a high concentration of ice cream truck here. In Long Beach district, I feel like it is three times larger, but there's less children. So assuming that there's gonna be 20 communes in my place. Usually there's 60 ice cream truck here in Long Beach district, more adult, less children. So I think it's 40. And then, in Long Bay district, I feel like a lot of time people are moving between districts. So at a certain time in the day, there might be less ice cream truck, and some other time there's more. And then given the seasonalities of ice cream, then I feel like in the summer it's gonna be more, in spring they're gonna be less, blah blah blah. So the question they're going to give you going to be something of a problem that they believe you cannot solve it, and then the answers you give them, you have to give all the consideration, like what is the demographic of the people, what are the seasonalities of the question, and how you're going to approach it given the knowledge of you and the neighborhood, blah 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 blah. But don't try to give them a quick answers. Try to explain to them what is happening inside your mind and try to reach the decision mathematically and systematically, okay? And the worst thing is don't panic. Don't say that, oh my God, it's a very hard question. I don't know how to answer it. I'm panicking. Don't show it to them. Show that you're confident. Show that you're trying to reach the answer. That's all they need to know. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I just want to give you the information about that type of question as well. So if they give you that question, then you don't feel like I am obligated to have the answers right away, and don't be scared if you don't know the answer. Just eventually, approach the answer. If you need 5 minutes to think, ask them, like, okay, this is a good question, but can you give me 3 or 5 minutes to preparation? It should be
Wait,
fine.
you can do that?
Hmm?
You can do that? I didn't know.
Of course, ask for a bit of time, to reflect and think a bit more about the answers. You don't have to give the answers on spots.
Okay. I'll
Okay,
keep that in
don't be
mind.
shy when you need time. Yeah, the worst thing is that you don't take any time and try to be very smart, and then you just burst it by saying random thing or chaotic thing that nobody could really understand how you're thinking. So stop for a minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, organize your thoughts, and give them the answer as fast as you can.
Okay.
Okay. Usually, they don't give the problem solving question to students who they feel like going to be losing the interview for sure. So if they give you the problem solving question, it might be a good signal. Or some other time they feel like you are very good answers. You give very good answers in all part of the interview that they don't have to give you the problem solving question as well. So
Yep.
mhm. So don't be judging yourself if you get or don't get the question, but just get ready for it, whatever they're asking you. All right.
All
With
right.
that in mind, I think that you now know more about the structures and the requirement of the interview. You have to do a bit of practice, on the question about why you're a good student for Win University. That's the first one. The second one is the situational question. Tell me about a time, blah, blah, blah. Imagine some scenarios. Make sure that you focus on the solution, not the situation. And the third one is, probably they're going to give you a problem solving question. So try to imagine a few things and then try to explain yourself. Don't be panicking when you get the answers.
Okay.
Okay? And
Yeah.
then you should be fine. I'll leave you to do your rehearsal on your own, and maybe in 2 or 3 days, I'm gonna schedule another mock-up with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay? I know you're tired, so take a break, and I'll see you some other time.
Yeah.
Bye, Harry. Have a good
Bye.
time.
Have a good night.
Hmm. Have a good one.